Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. Tonight for the highlights, we got COVID-19 vaccination awareness accompany culture, health, and UNICEF. In the international scene, COVID-19, 10 million people vaccinated in 24 hours in India. Those were the major stories for tonight. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, received in her office the Cuban ambassador in our country, Mr. Lazaro Poledo Mesa. In courtesy visit this Sunday, August 29, the diplomat presented his congratulations to the minister following his appointment to the Department of Social Affairs. While taking her for the reception that was reserved for him, assuring his full disposal. Surrounded by his close collaborators, the meeting held. The discussion focused first on the programs and actions implemented by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity in Djibouti, but also ways to establish a long-term partnership. Thus, the officials were able to highlight the capacity building needs in the field of social care for vulnerable households. As for the minister, she first thanked the ambassador for his visit and wished to deepen and put concrete actions for the fight against poverty, recalling that Cuba is a partner of choice for the Republic of Djibouti in socio-economic development programs in the world. In the continuity of the awareness campaign for the vaccination against COVID-19, the Ministry of Youth and Culture organized this morning in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and UNICEF the workshop of the CDC of Section 3 and Wahlidaba. It was also a question during this workshop to train peer educators in order to mobilize and sensitize the communities, young or less young, for the vaccination. Only weapon available that can protect us from this contagion in view of the new wave that threatens the country. In both cases, the event brought together senior officials of the Ministry of Youth and Culture, such as Bahdon Jama Ilmi, Director of the CDC, the trainers of Public Health, Mr. Muhammad Musa Ali and Muhammad Wa'is, as well as several other young people and community representatives. This action meets the objective of His Excellency, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibu Mu'min Asawi, who wants to make these flagship platforms of his department of real poles of awareness provision in the profile of the community. Under the high patronage of Her Excellency, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibu Mu'min Asawi, at the Star Cinema of Body Mall hosted this morning a screening ceremony of the trailer of the film Djibouti, made in Djibouti. Thus, this film, whose release is planned in December in Djibouti, interpreted by great stars of Bollywood, highlights the atypical landscapes and the most beautiful sights of the capital in the interior regions. On her arrival on site, Dr. Hibu Mu'min Asawi, surrounded by her close collaborators, and warmly welcomed with traditional Indian and Djiboutian dances. The event, in addition to the minister, brought together on site the Attorney General of Djibouti, Mr. Jama' Suleiman Ali, all the officials of the MGC, national and state personalities, musicians, and Indian artists, as well as several enthusiasts of the seventh art. After the official lunch of the trailer by the minister, spectators were able to enjoy the show that was offered to them, discovering a new eye the picturesque landscape of Djibouti. At the end of the screening, in a short speech, the minister immediately congratulated the producers and artists who made the film. She then emphasized the importance of promoting the seventh art in the Republic of Djibouti. For the minister, the production of films is undoubtedly a lever of the development of the cultural industry that generates multiple jobs involving all trades of the art. It is also a window for the enhancement of a heritage, for intercultural dialogue, a space for bringing people together, a credo particularly conducive to the development of the tourism industry in our country, concluded Dr. Hibu Mu'min Asawi. 350 applicants, including 202 from middle and secondary education and 50 from basic education, were presented this Sunday, August 29, 2021, in the recruitment competition for educational advisors. 126 positions are to be filled in total as a rate of 68 educational advisors, including 25 Arabic speakers and 43 French speakers for basic education, 48 for middle and secondary education, and 9 educational advisors for vocational education. It should be noted that the vast majority of future educational advisors will be distributed in the interior regions. Accompanied by several officials of his department, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, His Excellency Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud visited the Center of Competitive Examinations host at the SFEEF Training Center, where he was welcomed by Mrs. Inspector General Muna Abdul Ismail, head of the jury, and Mr. Dabar. On the spot, the minister was able to inquire about the conditions of the examinations and to make sure of the effective presence of the candidates registered for this examination for the recruitment of pedagogic advisors. And in this edition's feature, we're going to Faradil, a small town in the Ali Sabih region. It is a home to breeders and farmers. This locality has experienced a boom in recent years thanks to the government's strategy in favor of rural villages and settlements. Look at this documentary of our RTD team.
Enabling rural communities to live decently on their land by providing them with the means of subsistence and encouraging local initiatives. This is the government's strategy for rural villages and settlements. Faradil, half an hour away from the capital of Ali Sabih region, is one of these localities. Supported by the local authorities, the inhabitants of Faradil started farming only a few years ago. The agricultural parameters have multiplied everywhere, in and around the village. The first families who started to work the land harvest the fruits and served as an example for the rest of the village. Today, several camps have their own perimeters where market gathering is practiced on different scale. Farming has been encouraged and facilitated by the availability of water in this area thanks to the wells installed by the authorities, an investment that continues to support the efforts of farmers who continue to expand their farms, a support that fights at its level against food insecurity. In an interview, Mr. Ali Housh Roble, an agricultural farmer, said that the clients consume their products, the onions, tomatoes, and everything else. We have what we need, he said. We picked the guavas this morning and sent them for sale, he added. Faradil has also been trying to raise poultry for some time now. The Ministry of Agriculture, through the project for strengthening livelihoods and reducing vulnerability of pastoral communities in the Republic of Djibouti, has built poultry houses in this sector, 2 of which are in Faradil. This is to diversify the practice of livestock and thus strengthen the resources of the rural community through new activities. This goat is not a local species. It is an improved breed that came straight from Kenya about 7 months ago. All the families here have benefited from it thanks to the rural livelihoods. Its objective to improve the production and productivity of the goat herd through a selection and crossbreeding scheme of the best local goat breeds and their crossing with high-performance breeds. Also, the reconstitution of livestock in areas affected by recurrent drought years, genetic improvement of local breeds with the introduction of this Kenyan breed. Already, the milk production of the farmers has been improved. The first results are encouraging. Mr. Muhammad Illi, the head of Faradil village, explained receiving 200 goats. It is a good species to prosper. Already 5 months that they reproduce, he said. And then the quantity of milk is very important compared to the local breed. There is a big difference, he added. A woman from here said that it is better to have 4 of the imported species than 100 from home. It is very valuable for us, he confirmed. As for Mr. Ali Housh, shared with us having 10 of this species. According to him, he gets more milk than the local goats. It is enough for the kids and for us, he said. We could also sell some in the future, he concluded. As for Faradil, other neighboring localities, notably the Aspio and Durre, have benefited from similar projects with the same overall objective to fight against poverty by responding effectively to the needs and expectations of the rural population.
Part of the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, the Djibouti Red Crescent, in partnership with UNICEF and the Directorate of Water, are conducting operations to distribute hygiene kits to protect vulnerable population in rural areas in the region of Ali Sabih. The distribution, which started in Ali Sabih, continued in the 3 villages, Galile, Asamo. As part of this act of generosity, vulnerable populations in rural areas benefited from hygiene kits, such as soaps, gels, and water purification products. The operation of distribution of the kits took place in the presence of the President of the Red Crescent branch of Ali Sabih, Mr. Abdi Bouh, as well as representatives of the Water Direction. Djibouti handball has the wind in its sails. Just like the good results of the clubs in the championship, the federation wanted to serve on this beautiful wave by organizing this weekend a gala match to mark the end of a long and amazing season. Opposing two teams composed of formal glories of the discipline, which does not cease to gain in spectacle, in fan and participant. This last year's this match was a beautiful occasion to make dream the young partisans and allowed especially for the union of the men who shared strong moments of glories and defeats. After an exciting match, the organizers proceeded to the awarding of trophies to the team and players involved and who distinguished themselves throughout the season.
Soir au gymnase du lycée d'État.
The King Fahad complex has in turn closed in summer tournament of soccer in a festive and a good atmosphere. This competition launched since July opposed about 20 teams of the commune of Balbala. Thus, in front of a crowd in ever since, the two best formations of this tournament produced a high-level match, which did not fail to attract the attention of the officials. Among the latter, we can note the presence of Hussein Warsama, the former international referee, Ibrahim Hassan Ibrahim, the head of the sports department, and several other officials and members of the SES. At the end of the match, the winners and losers, as well as all those who distinguished themselves in the tournament, were called to the podium to receive the awards and trophies from the hands of officials. We are very sad to announce the death of the late Muhammad Humad Sultan yesterday in Djibouti. Young brother of the late Sultan Abdul Qadir Humad of Tajurrah, the late Muhammad Sultan was a wise and pious personality loved and respected by all. Born in Tajurrah, the deceased was a former parliamentarian at the independence of Djibouti. He spent his entire career in the custom services and left behind a large family, including a widow, several children, and grandchildren. Sharing the pain of the family of the late Muhammad Sultan, our thoughts and our sincere condolence to his large family, including his son, the parliamentarian Humad Muhammad Sultan, to the entire population of the Sultanate of Tajurrah, to his friends and relatives. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moving on towards the international scene, India has vaccinated against COVID-19 10 million people in a single day. A record figure announced the authorities of this Asian giant, which is trying to face a new wave of the epidemic, announced. Prime Minister Modi held the memorable feat achieved by this country of 1.3 billion people, the second most populous in the world. The Indian government hopes to vaccinate 1.1 billion people by the end of 2021, a goal thwarted by shortage and administrative snobs. Since the launch of vaccination in January, only 15% of the population has received the 2 doses of vaccine. By this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for the French edition with our colleague, Bodi. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.